How to overcome your addictions. Have you ever wondered what a Roman emperor can teach us about overcoming addictions in our lives today? Stoicism is a surprisingly comprehensive philosophy, embracing all, regardless of background, economic status, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or level of intelligence. Let's reflect on the journey of Epictetus, a notable Stoic thinker who, after more than 3 decades in slavery, achieved freedom. On the other hand, we have Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor born into one of the most prominent families of his time. Both, despite the disparities in their early lives, found in Stoic philosophy a common path to the pursuit of virtue and self-control. They confronted vices, distancing themselves from temptations such as lust and greed, and sought to discipline their minds to face fears and anxieties over which they had influence. They learned to accept and remain indifferent to adversities beyond their control, such as the weather or the choices of others, even their own family members or individuals in their social circle. Stoic philosophy reveals to us a great lesson. True mastery lies in our ability to shape our wills, intentions, and actions. It challenges us to act with righteousness, no matter the adversities, and to take full responsibility for our deeds. It encourages us to refine our feelings, to avoid destructive emotions such as shame, dishonor, and indulgence. Observing Marcus Aurelius's life inspires us to see how Stoicism can be a valuable guide in the battle against vices and on the journey towards virtue. How about we delve deeper into this context and the wisdom it can offer to face our own daily challenges? Now take a moment to think, what vices or negative habits are you allowing to take up space in your life? How can you start applying Stoic principles today to overcome them? Remember, every step on the path of self-improvement is a step towards true freedom. Let's together discover this transformative power in our lives. Before we proceed, I want to invite you to share in the comments what your vice is and the date you're watching this video. This simple declaration is a powerful step of courage to break any vice that may be impacting your life. Set a reminder on your phone calendar to come back to this video and evaluate the progress you've made. Truly commit to this transformation. Consider the wise words of Marcus Aurelius: "He who does not bring light creates his own darkness." Marcus Aurelius, who reigned from 161 to 180, held absolute power in his hands. During those years as emperor, he had the freedom to indulge in all the vices and luxuries that were common and even expected of the rulers who preceded him. He could easily have diverted wealth to further enrich his personal estate, could have engaged in indiscriminate relationships, and enjoyed immoderate luxuries, wearing the finest clothes and savoring the most refined delicacies. However, he chose a distinct path, illuminated by Stoic principles. Despite being a figure of ultimate authority in Rome, where his words were unquestionable and he had the power to punish, avenge, or even take lives without facing consequences, Marcus Aurelius showed exceptional strength of character. He could have delighted daily in the most exquisite drinks and indulged in pleasures without restraint. However, his existence is a testimony to resistance to temptations and how to face life's adversities without submitting to or becoming entangled in vices. He avoided the urge for immediate gratification, both from the fleeting pleasures offered by vices and from the impulses that incite us to succumb to them. Marcus Aurelius shows us that even at the peak of power, it's possible to remain true to a life of discipline and values. He chose light over succumbing to the darkness of an indulgent and unrestrained existence. This is a call to action for all of us. How can we today, regardless of our position or circumstances, choose light and resist the shadows of vices that try to envelop us? How can we apply Stoic wisdom to improve, not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. This moment of reflection is crucial. I ask you, dear friend, what vices are trying to take control of your life? How can you follow Marcus Aurelius's example to resist these temptations and illuminate your own path? Marcus Aurelius, with his life and writings, teaches us that resilience is a skill that can be cultivated and turned into a beneficial habit in our lives. For Stoics, virtue is not a privilege of the few, but something within everyone's reach. Consider this. If Marcus Aurelius, holder of immense power, managed to stand firm against temptations, why couldn't we, who face lesser challenges in terms of power? We have within us a rational nature capable of guiding us. It allows us to control our emotions, actions, and interactions, shaping our existence. During his 19-year reign, Marcus Aurelius maintained a constant practice of self-reflection, resulting in the work Meditations, which offers us profound insights into vices and how they limit us. He uses impactful metaphors, such as that of the pink elephant, so obvious that it cannot be ignored, and that of the mosquito, discreet but capable of causing great discomfort. Similarly, many vices seem harmless at first. We live with them almost unnoticed, minimizing their importance until, like silent mosquitoes, they reveal their potential for harm. Our daily lives are filled with activities that, although seemingly benign, such as stress relief shopping, consuming inappropriate content, complaining about work, criticizing loved ones, procrastinating on important tasks, consuming fast food, abusing coffee, or spending hours on social media can actually imprison us. Marcus Aurelius warns us that these pleasures are like thieves, perverts, and tyrants gathering silently, stealing our virtue and happiness. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, thieves, perverts, murderers, and tyrants gather to consider their supposed pleasures. He warns us about the dangerous path that many human beings tread by giving prominence to vices in their lives. These words resonate as a warning because vices can be true thieves of virtue and happiness. When we allow fleeting and harmful pleasures to dominate our lives, we are, without realizing, building a path towards our own moral ruin. Don't let this trap engulf you. So how can we face these challenges? What choices can you make today to start breaking free from these chains and move towards success and lasting happiness? Remember, every decision counts. And by choosing virtue, we light the way not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. Let's together cultivate this resilience, inspired by the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, and transform our lives into examples of strength and virtue. The relentless pursuit of momentary pleasures often leads us down the path of ruin. Imagine feeling relief and joy only when shopping, spending on items you don't truly need. This reveals that you're conditioning your happiness on the act of buying. Let's also consider the use of pornography as the primary source of satisfaction and the search for love. This complicates the creation of true emotional connections and the formation of healthy relationships in the real world. If we depend on several cups of coffee daily to maintain concentration, we're indeed anchoring our productivity to caffeine, despite having the intrinsic ability to be productive without it. Engaging in an endless cycle of criticism and complaints is another destructive behavioral vice. In any context or situation, we automatically start looking for reasons to complain or criticize, perpetuating this negative pattern. Marcus Aurelius urges us to deep introspection. Before pointing out a flaw in someone, we should ask ourselves, which of my flaws resembles what I'm about to criticize? This type of self-assessment helps us recognize that criticism and complaints are some of the most corrosive vices we can have. Procrastinating in the face of challenging tasks, such as studying for an exam or completing a project, in exchange for easier activities, compromises our ability to face adversities. Relying on fast food instead of adopting a balanced diet makes it increasingly difficult to transition to a healthy lifestyle. Spending excessive time on social media, especially when using that time to compare our lives to others, can seriously damage our self-esteem and mental well-being. The relentless pursuit of validation on social media can turn into a harmful addiction. Vices allure us with promises of instant and fleeting satisfaction. In the short term, we may feel elated, but in the long run, they leave a trail of devastation, undermining our ability to live a virtuous and meaningful life. Pleasure can quickly turn into punishment. Here, self-discipline reveals itself as a powerful tool, guiding us in the struggle against vices and helping us maintain balance and achieve a healthier and virtuous way of life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Dig within yourself, for there is the source of good, and it will always spring up if you will always dig." The journey of self-discipline is challenging, but it's essential to understand that self-control is closely linked to the ability to resist temptation. By associating each temptation of vice with its negative consequences, we diminish its seductive power. What steps are you willing to take today to strengthen your self-discipline and resist temptations that threaten your well-being? Dear Stoic friend, let's face together a practical exercise that can reveal much about ourselves and our vices. Take your smartphone and open the Notes app, or if you prefer, grab a piece of paper and a pen and get ready for deep reflection. Divide your page into 2 columns. In the first, list the secondary benefits of your vice, those small temporary rewards, such as the feeling of freedom when procrastinating a task. In the second column, write down the adverse outcomes, such as failing to achieve your goals, the inability to complete projects, and the erosion of your self-confidence. This simple yet powerful exercise will show that while vices offer momentary gratifications, they pale in comparison to the deep satisfaction and fulfillment that comes with overcoming them. Control over our own actions can be a genuine source of contentment and success, while surrendering to temptations becomes a heavy burden of regret and remorse. Stoicism teaches us to be rational, that is, to use our reasoning ability to constantly combat vices. This enables us to resist impulsive reactions and adopt more thoughtful behaviors in the face of situations we encounter. We can then deliberate and consciously decide on our actions. Stoics refer to this ability as ruling faculty, which allows us to evaluate our thoughts, feelings, and impulses, discerning what is beneficial or harmful. Acting based on this evaluation elevates us to the status of truly rational beings, capable of making conscious and prudent choices, freeing ourselves from the shackles of vices and automatic responses. Remember, being ensnared in vices is never simple, but your ability to think is always stronger than any trigger. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that sometimes it's necessary to distance ourselves from environments, situations, and even relationships that drag us down. If you don't distance yourself, you'll remain attached to these negative influences, imprisoned by your vices. Focus on what is immediately in front of you, your thoughts, actions, and expressions. Understanding the dichotomy of control is a relatively simple concept, but applying it daily can be a challenge. Therefore, if you happen to succumb to temptation, make a small mistake, or even a grave failure, know that it doesn't devalue the philosophy you adopt or invalidate your ability to make rational choices. It merely indicates that you've temporarily strayed from the path. But that doesn't prevent you from returning and continuing your journey of personal development. I encourage you to remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. "Today I escaped from the difficult circumstances, or rather I threw them out, for they were not outside me, but within my own assumptions. This is a powerful reminder that we are the masters of our choices and reactions. Focus and reflection are the keys to a more virtuous and meaningful future. The words of Epictetus illuminate an essential truth about human nature. The soul is like a bowl of water, and our impressions are like the ray of light that falls upon it. When the water is stirred, it seems as though the light itself is moving, but it is not. So when a person loses self-control, it is not their abilities and virtues that are disturbed, but the spirit in which they exist. And when the spirit calms down, these things also calm down. This teaching serves as a guide for facing internal turmoil and disturbances that challenge our ability to maintain control over our impulses and actions. Recognizing and admitting our mistakes or failures in attempting to overcome vices is a vital step on the journey to change. However, it's crucial not to sink into guilt, as it can become a mental trap that prevents us from progressing. For example, if you fail to maintain a diet and overindulge in food, prolonged lamentation will only feed a new cycle of guilt and remorse. The important thing is to acknowledge the failure, reflect on the circumstances that contributed to it, and then take responsibility to move forward. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the importance of regaining our senses and reconnecting with reality. The dreams that disturb us are no different from the vices that haunt us. Both can be daunting challenges. For example, if you've been a smoker for 15 years, it's not realistic to expect to quit smoking abruptly just because you woke up with determination. The will to change, without a solid strategy, planning, and concrete actions, often isn't enough. Epictetus advises evaluating the time during which we've maintained a vice to understand its depth. If you've been smoking for 15 years, that's a deeply ingrained habit. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that a simple affirmation of change in front of the mirror will suffice to overcome it. It's crucial to commit to change and start acting. Identify your triggers and change your routines to break the usual patterns. For example, if the habit of smoking arises after lunch, consider replacing it with a walk or some brief exercise. For deeper vices, such as the use of illicit substances, more than just a superficial resolution is needed. These challenges require a firm decision and continued personal actions. As Marcus Aurelius teaches us, the happiness of man depends upon himself. We are not defined by our vices. Stoicism encourages us to seek virtue and live our lives with dignity and presence. By giving up and accepting vice, we not only lose, but also miss out on gaining self-respect, familial and financial opportunities, and the chance to showcase our gifts and talents to the world. Thus, we continue the journey, guided by Stoic wisdom, to regain control, overcome vices, and achieve a more virtuous and meaningful life. These words of Marcus Aurelius call us to deep introspection and renewed commitment to our personal development. Enough of this miserable, whining life. Stop playing. Why are you troubled? What's new here? What's so confusing? The cause takes a good look at it. With this, he urges us to set aside lamentations and confront the issues that truly matter in our lives. He urges us to take responsibility for our actions and the development of our character, emphasizing that being passive or negligent can lead to the worst of fates. Taking responsibility means recognizing the role we play in our own lives, admitting our faults, and consciously working to improve them. It's a call to stop attributing our dissatisfaction and challenges to external factors and start looking inward to understand how we can change ourselves and, consequently, our reality. Living without self-love is like sailing without a rudder, subject to the whims of the sea. Without a firm sense of self-worth, we are vulnerable to yielding to every passing desire, every momentary impulse that, while gratifying in the short term, can divert us from our most significant goals and a truly virtuous life. This reflection from Marcus Aurelius reminds us that self-love is not a luxury, but a fundamental necessity for a fulfilling and meaningful life. Self-love strengthens us against adversities, equips us to face challenges with dignity, and allows us to establish healthy boundaries that protect our well-being. So when you think about these words, think about how you can take concrete steps to take greater responsibility for your life and cultivate deeper self-love. This might involve small daily adjustments to your routine or more significant commitments to your personal and spiritual development. Ultimately, the Stoic path offers a powerful insight into the nature of freedom and happiness. By following this philosophy, we learn that true freedom is not found in the absence of external constraints, but rather in the ability to govern our own thoughts and actions, regardless of the circumstances around us. This is a freedom that no one can take away from us because it resides in inner strength and resilience. Happiness, from the Stoic perspective, is not found in fleeting pleasures or the accumulation of material possessions, but in living a purposeful life, where every action and decision is aligned with deep values of virtue and integrity. This involves the constant practice of self-compassion, which should not be mistaken for self-indulgence. Stoic self-compassion is understanding our faults and limitations with kindness, while striving to overcome them. Living with purpose means having a clear direction and a sense of mission that guides all of our actions. This not only provides a sense of fulfillment, but also keeps us anchored during life's storms. Integrity, in turn, assures us that our actions are in harmony with our moral principles, giving us inner peace and self-respect. So, by embracing the Stoic teachings, we are encouraged to deeply reflect on what we truly value and to adjust our lives to reflect those values. This leads us to a more authentic and meaningful existence, where true freedom and happiness are not only possible, but consistently realized through our conscious daily choices. Now that you know Marcus Aurelius's secrets for a life without vices, what first step will you take today to transform your life? Comment below and join our community for more inspirations like this one. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and be sure to share it with a friend who may also benefit. Help us spread this ancient knowledge. To learn more about Stoicism, subscribe to our channel and check out our complete playlist. See you soon.